in that first 10 years, you're going to have learned something about your spouse that you didn't know. And I think in that next 10 years, take what you learned about your spouse and don't try to correct them or force them to change for you.
Yeah.
Try to adjust and be flexible for them. If you both do that, if you focus on each other's strengths and not weaknesses, I think that's a healthy marriage goal. Welcome to Running Free. We are back with another variety pack episode, and I'm here with my very dear, very red-faced, tomato-looking Justin Mazars. How you doing? How you doing, Justin?
I am sun-kissed today.
Sun-kissed.
It's been insanely hot and sunny in the wonderful East Coast. But that being said, it is summer, and I'm excited still. It's almost over, it feels like, which is insane, but here we are.
Did I make you blush? I literally couldn't tell if I made you blush because how red you are. Do you want to redo the intro? Are you embarrassed that I called you tomato? Or do you
No, I want to get redder by the time this is over. So let's keep going.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to do it for those that don't know. Now you know, once a month, the last week of every month here at Running Free, we do our variety pack episode, which is where you can ask us literally anything. And that's what we typically get. We get a mixed bag of questions. We got a ton of questions this time, and we tried to choose a variety of questions across things like mental health, fitness, family, culture, and everything in between. And we are going to dive into it. Not a lot of prep work on purpose. We like to just kind of hit these head on and just react to them and react to each other. And we're going to dive in now with our first question coming at us from Jonathan in Massachusetts. Great question here. Justin, you're going to go first.
All right.
Let's do this. It is, how has your relationship to the trifecta, which is, according to Jonathan, food, body image, and movement or fitness, changed over time? Again, how has your relationship to food, body image, and fitness or movement changed over time?
That's a really good question, Jonathan. I mean, I think it's definitely, evolved over time. At least I'll speak for myself. So over the years, like, it evolved from just doing it because I felt like I had to into like, this is awesome. This is making me feel great. Like, what more can I learn and what more can I apply? But I will say, coming with that, body dysmorphia is something that I would definitely think is very apparent in a lot of what we do. And every time I look in the mirror, I'm smaller than the day I was before. I always say, like, the day that I picked up a weight is the day that I will forever be small to myself. And it's definitely a struggle. And throw on top of that, dumb decisions that I made in the past, abusing steroids and really seeing, holy shit, this is how big I can get.
Right.
Now knowing I'll never touch that again, kind of a mental struggle there as well. But, this is meant to be something that, helps us, not something that hurts us. So, viewing all these three things as a trifecta, like you were saying, and understanding that one doesn't outweigh the other, that these all three go together. And the sooner that we understand that, the sooner that the results that you want to see are going to come, as well as many other benefits.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well said. And relatable. I could care less about any of those up until I was about 19 years old.
Yeah.
Because I was never taught to care about them. I just didn't even think I ate whatever the hell I wanted. I didn't care about moving. And I didn't care about how I looked. But I can remember, Justin, there was this one time back in the day, way back in the day, because we're, 40-ish, pictures weren't around as much. So I didn't see a lot of pictures of me. And I specifically didn't see a lot of pictures of me with my shirt off until there was this one time, myself and two of my friends, Chuck and Timmy, were at poolside. We were all about to jump into a pool. I don't know who the hell took the picture, but the picture got back to me. And I looked at Timmy and I looked at Chuck, and they were fit and they were ripped. And I looked at me and I had this little pouch. I had no definition. And for the first time in my life, body image just kind of like hit me and went, holy crap. Like, I hate how that looks. And that was like a turning point for me. And I think that pushed me like very quickly to start caring about the other ones, which is fitness and food. So that said, since 1920, when I joined the Marines, and fitness was a big culture, big part of that, obviously that family, that culture, food and body image hasn't changed for me in terms of how much I care about it. I've been
Yeah.
dialed in on
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
diet. I've been caring about how I look consistently now. Just like you mentioned, there's times when I care more to look bigger and train bigger or to get leaner. Like that'll fluctuate, but it
Yeah.
seems to kind of be consistent for me and continue to change as movement or
Yeah.
fitness. Because I've hit a point, and this is just one way I'll say it and we'll move on, but like I've I've sort of accepted that I wasn't born genetically gifted to be a monster. I think every guy that lifts like wants to be bigger and they want to be
Yeah.
stronger. They want to put on a t-shirt and look like they lift. But I've just like I don't have bad genetics. I don't have great ones for muscle growth. And for a long time with movement, I would just like push my body and lift
Yeah.
heavier weights and I'd always get injured. And it was just like I wasn't learning from that. So where I am now, and I guess it's body image too, it's like I'm kind of happy with my strength. I'm stronger than most people, but I'll never be the strongest. I don't look perfect, but I think I look pretty damn good for,
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So on movement, I'm just now starting to be like, okay, I'm going to choose moves that are effective but that are safe. And I'm not going to like overload the bar so I hurt myself, which is counterintuitive. But the way that all three go together, I've been focused on like that whole picture for a while. Two of them pretty static, but the movement part, I'm finally, I think, for the betterment,
Yeah.
trying like transitioning to where like, okay, I'm gonna do movements that are effective but are safe, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. So
It's a good
yeah,
place to be, man.
I think so. I think so. All right, staying in the realm of fitness, this one from Michael in Colorado. This is great. This is great. If you could only do 10 weightlifting exercises for the rest of your life, only 10, what would you do? What would you choose?
Oh man, there's so many to choose from.
You're going first, so I get the benefit to write mine down.
Damn it. All right, fine. Well, if we're going for 10, I obviously got to include the big three. So we're gonna go squat, bench, dead.
Okay.
And I need seven more. That's unfortunate. Let's go with I'm gonna split it up by body part. So we're gonna start with back. We're gonna do pull-ups.
Okay.
We're also gonna do some barbell rows.
Okay.
How many am I at? One, two, three, four, five. That's five.
That's five.
We are going to do reverse grip chin-ups.
Okay. So pull-ups and chin-ups.
Yeah, more so for biceps, but also
Okay.
incorporating some upper back.
Okay.
And then we are going to do hack squat.
Okay. Three more.
Three more. Three more. We are going to do the military press. We are
Okay.
going
With
to
what?
do
Barbell or dumbbell?
dumbbell.
Okay. Is that for shoulder safety?
Yes, for shoulder safety. I'm so glad you asked. I'm at two left. We're going to do some dumbbell lateral raises, and then we're going to be doing what's the last one? Wild card. We're going to do some skull crushers.
Skull crushers. Okay. All right. Final answers?
Yeah, don't ask me to say them all again because
Well, whatever. We'll re-listen to it later. All right. All right. I'm gonna go. I tried to group them here as you're talking. So for lower body, unlike you, I'm gonna keep that barbell off of my spine and keep heavy weight off of it because remember, this is forever. I don't know. The
oh, for
second,
sure.
just pressure check that list when you're 80, Justin. Lower body, I'm gonna go Bulgarian split squats.
Okay.
And I am going to go with a Romanian deadlift, and I would do
Okay.
those with dumbbells as well.
All right.
On the kind of upper push motions, I'm going to go with a dumbbell bench press for shoulder safety.
Yep.
Cable fly, I just love it. The contraction in my chest, that one is I feel that the most, which means I know
That's a
it's
good
working
one.
the muscle. And then dips. I'm going to go with dips.
Dips, the upper body squat. I like it.
Yep. Yeah. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the pulling, the upper pulling motion, I'm not going to do the pull-ups. I've had a lot of trap issues, probably my form, but I am going to do lat pull downs, neutral grip on those, and inverted row would be
Ooh,
my other one. You like that? So that's
I like that.
6, 7. I got 3 more. Probably focus on the arms here. So I like hammer curls specifically for grip strength and also for the bicep. I don't know that I would do a tricep one. I might have to think of a different move here. Back to the lower body. Sorry. Glute ham raise for my glutes. I mean, like most men and probably women too, underactive glutes, right? Overactive
Big time.
hamstrings. So glute ham raise. So I got one more Just thinking through this, and it's weightlifting exercises. Man, probably, you know what? Dumbbell clean. That's going to be one for me.
Dumbbell clean. All right.
Dumbbell
I see. I see.
clean. You see what I
So
did there?
listeners, if you've been paying attention, if you can't tell, I think the approaches that we're taking here were meathead approach by yours truly, science backed approach by Mr. Karajat. So no surprises as
Yeah.
always.
Mindful of the lifespan, my friend. That's where I'm
Yeah.
entering. But I am a couple years older than you, so maybe you'll get there. I don't know. All right. This is fun. We're going to
That's awesome.
switch to more of a lifestyle and
Ooh,
even
I like those.
family one. This is a great one. Is this the same? Yeah, this is also from Michael in Colorado. Shout out to Mike. I know
My
he's going to
guy.
listen. All right. Mike asks, this is fantastic. Many people our age, how old you talking, Michael? Many people our age, assuming if I'm 40, Justin,
Mid-20s.
yeah, okay, sure. Uh, many people are hitting their 10-year anniversary in their marriages.
Yeah.
Question. Here's the question. What are goals or milestones couples should think about for the next 10 years? So years 11 through 20. Look, 1 in 10 Americans today struggle with alcohol use disorder, and I was one of them. Did you know that there is a safe, science-backed daily pill that you can take to drink less or even quit alcohol for good? It's called naltrexone, a doctor-prescribed medication that you get online, and our sponsor, Or Health, is the nation's leading provider of naltrexone. To date, Or Health has helped over 35,000 people find freedom from alcohol, and I'm proudly one of them. To get started, text STRENGTH to 710-710. Again, that's STRENGTH to 710-710 and get started on your journey to finally find freedom from alcohol.
Ah, man, that's a really good question, and I love the variety of questions that we get on the variety pack episodes.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people, God willingly, that I can definitely say that, my wife and I celebrated our 10 years last year, which is awesome. We went to Mexico for it, had a blast. Should that be everyone's 10-year goal? Go to Mexico? I don't think it's a bad idea, but um, you know, I've shared a little bit, I think, about the struggles that Liz and I had in the beginning stages of our marriage. First couple years weren't pretty at all. And that was a lot of it was myself causing a lot of these things. But those things were worked through and it helped us get to where we're at. And a lot of marriage counseling, a lot of therapy, a lot of self-work. But what I will say now that we have 10 years of this wonderful journey under our belt, I think because of society and social media, we always think that like we have to go to this big trip or we have to do this huge excursion or spend all this money to get these perfect pictures taken so we can post it. But like I have learned, and the things that make the biggest difference in terms of our marriage on the day-to-day level is trying to get the little things right, like, and I'm gonna what's his name? Peterson says there's a
Jordan?
quote, but yeah, Jordan Peterson talks about this too in one of his interviews about when you wake up in the morning and you're sitting down at the table with your family eating breakfast, that 30 to 60 minutes that you have with them needs to be what you get right. The way that your wife greets you when you walk in the door from work, the way that your kids greet you when you wake up in the morning, the way you greet your kids, the way that you put them to bed, like the quick conversations, like all these things that we take for granted but are essential to our day-to-day lives, like focusing on that and trying to get that right and nailing it and really understanding how important it is for all of these things to like be a part of our lives and how lucky we are to have these, like you will be surprised how much shit falls into place. And it took me 10 years of being married and like really understanding that when I focus on controlling the things that I can control that are not they may seem minute at the time, but looking back are essential to the building blocks of your family and what you're building, like really trying to focus on the small stuff and understanding that it really ain't that small,
Right.
is probably my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, man. I like that. That's good. I would hit it like this. I'd start with this. There's some assumptions built into this, almost that like everybody experiences the same thing in the first 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that some people get married right away and start having kids, and then kids bring challenges. And so, like, year 11 doesn't feel the same for everybody. But let's set that aside and
Yeah.
just speak in generalities. Whether you're with someone for 5 years, and this question applies to the next 5 years, or 10 in the next 10, I would say this. Typically, what happens the first 10 years, there's lots and lots of change. And that change, for most people, is simply adjusting to being married to another
Yeah.
partner. It could be changes in responsibilities and jobs and moving and houses and kids, but like by and large, that first 10 years is going to be a lot of change, right? And then also in that first 10 years, you're watching your partner react to change. You're learning about each other. Sometimes that brings tension.
Yeah.
Change can expose differences, which can cause, fights and all those things, right? So being that for me now, and this is specific to me, and we just had our 10-year anniversary last year, so this is very applicable. And we had freaking tons of change in that 10 years. Our life is almost unrecognizable. And everything I just mentioned applies to us. I think the goal, to answer Mike's question, for us, for me, for us in a relationship for the next 10 years is settling in and stillness.
Yeah.
Because change sometimes happens organically. Sometimes you make that change by your choices, but it can also be unhealthy if there's too much of it. So I think 11 years in, 11 to 20, it should be like, all right, let's settle in. This is our life. Let's
Yeah.
block out distractions. Let's minimize change if possible. And then let's just really just enjoy life and be present. Now, if you have kids, be able to enjoy them. And we talk about parenting all the time. And then I think the other part is in that first 10 years, you're going to have learned something about your spouse that you didn't know.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Marriage itself and responsibilities, you learn each other. And I think in that next 10 years, what I hope, and a goal of mine and my wife as well, Meg, it's like take what you learned about your spouse and don't try to correct them or force them to change for you.
Yeah.
Try to adjust and be flexible for them. And I
Yeah.
think if you both do that, if you focus on each other's strengths and not weaknesses and try to evolve or adapt yourself as best you can to have cohesion, I think that's a healthy
Yeah.
marriage goal. Because oftentimes we just get frustrated and we want them to do something different.
Yeah.
Like,
Why do you do this? Why can't you do that?
right. Put the light on yourself, if that's
Yeah.
how you want to put it, and always be asking like, what could I be do differently? Not like, what can they do differently for me? So that's how I'd answer it.
Yeah. I like that a lot, man.
Thanks, dude. Thank you. It's recorded. You can listen to it again if you want. All right. I'm going to question this name here. This next one's from Timmy from Topeka.
Hey,
Timmy from Topeka.
I knew it.
Yeah. I'm going to read the whole question. I was going to cut out the first part, but I think it gives context. So, staying in the lifestyle category here, Timmy from Topeka asks, I have read that listen to me. I have read that Mark Wahlberg wakes up at 4 a.m. every morning to get his workout in before starting his day with work and family. If I'm trying to change my lifestyle to focus on myself in that way, and this is the key question, how do I justify going to sleep earlier and perhaps missing out on family time in order to do that? How do you properly balance your lifestyle goals without changing the entire dynamic for my family?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, you want to make changes, sacrifices are going to happen. What do the sacrifices look like? It depends. Should they be family time? I would hope not. But you want to wake up earlier? Like, it doesn't have to be this drastic change. I feel like take it gradual. Go to sleep a half an hour earlier. Try and wake up a half an hour earlier. And in those 30 minutes, do an at-home exercise, do an at-home workout. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And then from there, try 45. And after you're going to bed 45 minutes early. And if going to bed earlier is just not an option because of kids and family, then what else can be changed throughout your day that you can carve off 30 minutes? Is it getting to work 30 minutes earlier so you can leave 30 minutes earlier? Or, is it getting to work an hour earlier? Is it going on your lunch break? Like there's ways to fit in pockets of exercise throughout the day. And it doesn't have to be a 60 minutes straight. Like I have to be at a gym in order for it to count as a workout. Like there's ways of doing it and getting the movement that your body needs without it seeming like this giant chunk of your day that has to be devoted to working out. Um, And Jess, you know this, I went through like a 2-year phase of being one of those psychos that had the 3:45, 4 a.m. gym alarm. And honestly, I was in the best shape of my life at that point, physically, mentally, emotionally, because I was starting my day with me time. Was it early as shit? Fuck yeah. Did I like waking up early that day, every single day? No, but I eventually grew to like waking up that early. And if I didn't wake up at 4 and go to the gym, there was some problems that were going to happen the rest of the day because I didn't get to
Right.
the gym. But like to sum all of it up, it doesn't have to be this. I got to go to bed 3 hours earlier just so I can exercise. Like that's not how it has to be. It's about being smart and making it a gradual transition into whatever updates and changes that you're making to your schedule. But I would hate to see you have to carve out 3 hours of family time and lose that just to try and get to the gym. Like again, it does not have to be that. And I would love like reach out. I'm happy to offer any other guidance or advice or applicable situations that I think may help you that have helped me in the past. But there's definitely going to have to be some give and take in terms of schedules.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said, and I don't have much to add other than if I just kind of like, I think properly frame this question. I think Mr. Wahlberg here may make productivity his lord. I
Yeah,
think productivity itself, I think, has to be approached carefully because if you're very proud of how productive you are, you'll make decisions to add things on your plate that are
yeah,
going to put you in the position that Dave here, excuse me, Timmy from Topeka, is asking about. So I don't think this like 4 a.m. waking up. I mean, sure, fine, but like if you have family at night and you know that in order to get the adequate sleep you need, because that is something you should prioritize, if waking up at 4 in the morning is gonna force you to lose family time or lose sleep, then you should not be waking up
no,
at 4 in the morning. I mean, it's hard stop. And to your point, I think anyone that's kind of like faced with this tension needs to look at their priorities first and then look at their schedule second and say, okay, is there anything I can let go of,
yeah,
even if it's an hour in the day,
yeah,
that would allow you to get that extra sleep so you can sleep a little bit longer and then wake up at 5 instead of 4. But the root question here was how do you properly balance that, meaning like my focus on my fitness goals, my lifestyle, without changing the entire dynamic of the family? I think it starts with an assessment of the priorities and
yeah,
then try to
yeah,
let go of some things. And then fitness should be, well, on the Mount Rushmore of your priorities, but it's not like the number one thing.
yeah,
So then you just got to kind of restructure your day. But I think people like Mark Wahlberg, like, why is he waking up at 4 to start his day, work, family? I don't know. Like, how many entrepreneurial pursuits is he after and why? How many kids
yeah,
does he have? I don't know. But I'm assuming that he could probably make some space in his day to not wake
yeah,
up at 4, wake up at 5 and be a normal person for crying out loud. But anyways,
yeah.
that's
I
my
guess when
thought.
your bank account looks like his too, you kind of make your own
Yeah. Yeah.
priorities.
Yeah. And I'm sure he can hire some people if he needs some help
Yeah,
or something,
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
all right. Next one is going to parenting here. This one's from, again, with these names, Pete from Idaho. Okay, Peter.
Peter.
Peter from Idaho. This is an interesting one, very, very specific. I'll read the whole question. It's 3 sentences. His question is, Mr. Peter, regarding parenting core values, we teach our children from a young age to share and to be kind, fruits of the spirit. At what age do you begin to teach them? This is a pivot. How to be ruthless in business. But I think this last piece is the full question. Are kids that are being taught too early to be nice, starting off with a disadvantage, entering adolescence and then adulthood?
This is a question, Peter.
Yikes, Peter from
You
Idaho.
SOB. Um so I think there's a couple ways to look at that. I think, there needs to be more prioritized for kids when we're raising kids and teaching kids along with being nice. So obviously being nice and having a heart of forgiveness and mercy and grace is a beautiful thing, but I think along with that, comes another lesson that needs to be next to that of sticking up for yourself and
Hmm.
understanding what you're going to let happen to you and what you're not going to let happen to you, as well as having that constant desire and yearn for wanting to succeed and wanting to do better. And I think a lot of that can come from sports too for kids at a
Yeah.
young age, which I will always harp on being such an important foundation for kids because not only are they going to learn how to play a sport, they're going to learn so much more than that, from teamwork to discipline to winning and losing and experiencing both sides of that. So, um, this just focusing on being nice, put your kids at a disadvantage. Well, I mean, I think everybody wants their kids to be nice, right? But I also know that everybody doesn't want their kids to be a pushover. So I think it's a balancing act for the parents. It's not an easy answer to this question. So I'm not going to be able to sit here and say, here's X, Y, and Z of how you balance that, because I don't have that. I'm still trying to figure it out. But focusing on the importance of not just being nice, but what it means to be a genuinely strong, Christ following person. And, going along with being nice comes the tolerance for, not putting up with being disrespected, not allowing their brothers and sisters to be disrespected. Like, there's a lot of lessons that I think can be taught from everyday life that focuses on all these things outside of just being nice, which are all equally important in my opinion. So if we're not teaching our kids these things, will they be set up for a disadvantage? 100% they will be. They're not going to know what is right for sticking up for themselves, or how to properly advocate for what is right without being little assholes because mom and dad never showed them how to do it.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of the onus of all of this doesn't fall on the kids. Like, it falls on mom and dad.
Look, life can be hard and stressful sometimes. We all know that. But when it comes to supplements, why is it that nobody talks about stress and resilience? For me, I take the adaptogen stack from Momentous Supplements. It's a daily blend of ashwagandha, rhodiola, and L-theanine, all clinically backed to help you stay calm, focused, and resilient. I'm proudly partnered with Momentous Supplements because they are the industry's best. They don't cut corners. Everything's third party tested, used by pro athletes, and high quality. Head to livemomentous.com and use code STRENGTH for 35% off your first order. Again, that's livemomentous.com, code word STRENGTH for 35% off your first order, and get started today. Yeah, agreed. That's what I would say, man. It's like sometimes this question has to do with what we're teaching our kids, but sometimes we're teaching them by what we model. And sometimes as parents, is if you are modeling that, you can, his words, but share and be kind to them and to others. But then when they see, and then if you cross dad, if you cross mom, like they're gonna be strong, and we're gonna be direct, and we're gonna tell them. So I think some of it's like we can just model by our personalities, right? I also don't think sharing and being kind, and also he said ruthless, but being direct and sticking up for yourself. I don't think those things need to be mutually exclusive,
Very
right?
true.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said it, but like you can be both, right? You can be
Yeah.
loving, but when it's time to throw down, you could do that too.
Yeah. Let's go.
Exactly. It's funny. It just popped in my mind. I was listening to an interview the other day. It was Rahm Emanuel. If you don't know who that is, it does not matter. He's a potential Democratic candidate in 2026. Anyway, he had this expression. He described himself as a middle child, and he said, "quote Like most middle children, I can do war and peace." And he was being asked a question around like, "Hey, how come sometimes you're soft and sometimes you come on like really strong?" And I think that's a good way to put it. Like, I think a well-equipped, versatile, flexible human being is totally comfortable and willing to be both soft and strong, right? You can do
Yeah.
war and you can do peace. So yeah, I think you can model it, but I do think you should be teaching your kids to stand up for themselves. I'll just give you a quick funny anecdote. Just this question literally popped up at my dinner table 2 days ago. My daughter, she was explaining to me something. I don't know why it was on her mind because school's been out, but she said, "Hey, last year this boy was really mean to me." I said, "Well, tell me what happened." And she said she was practicing her cursive writing in first grade, and some little punk, frankly, came over and said, and she was trying to spell her name. She's like, "What is that, cursive? That's not cursive. Let me show you how to write it." And then he wrote her name in cursive better than her and told her that she stinks at it. Now,
You got this kid's address, because I need
dude, as
like
a
a field
parent,
trip.
that pokes on like that, like unearths all of like
Oh
my own
yes.
experiences and how I respond in that moment. A lot of it is predicated on like any wounds that I'm carrying with me or any like right? So, my wife and I are both sitting at the table. Daddy speaks first, probably because I heard it and was like, huh? So my advice to my daughter was, you know what you should have said? You should have said, "What was that? I didn't know we had a penmanship police. Go tell somebody who cares." And I said it literally just came out. And then in my head, I was like, "Oh shit! Like, am I
Ah,
teaching her?"
backspace. Backspace. How do I take
By
it
the way,
back?
Onomatopoeia, penmanship police. I thought it was pretty clever.
I
But
honestly think you're onto something there. So we'll circle back, but continue.
yeah, but then of course Meg, she's listening too. She looks at me and gives me the.
Yeah, I know that
She
look. I
goes,
get it. Hey.
"Sweetheart, sometimes people are just mean, and you need to just be kind." Bro, that's this question coming to a head. And by the way, how we respond to that should be dictated by how old the kid is and how much they're ready.
Yeah.
But what she heard there was mom and dad. Dad's like, no, turn around, tell him, embarrass him. He won't come back and do it again. And what I said to her was, that's good for you to practice standing up for yourself, but it's good for him because if he hears that and feels a little uncomfortable, he's less likely to do that, right? But I don't know, bad parenting or not, you tell me, Justin.
Well, I'm in your corner here. I would have told her to start swinging the next time she sees him.
But hey, penmanship police, that's good, right?
Dude, I'm putting that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right. Did you want to circle around to something or keep going? Sounds like you said to circle
Penmanship
back.
police. No, I'm still harping on it. I think I think it's great. I'm mad I didn't think of that first.
All right. All right, cool. I lost my my train of thought here. Where are we going? Okay. All right. Michael in Colorado. Back to the fitness world here. If you could recommend 3 supplements men over 30 should take for overall health and wellness, what would it be?
If there was a supplement that everybody could take to stop putting all of their eggs in supplement baskets, I would recommend that. But no, supplements obviously are important, but like you're in your 30s, they're not that important. And I think that they don't have to be overcomplicated like we love to do in everything exercise and nutrition of reinventing the wheel. So, short answer, fish oil, a multivitamin, and the third, I'm gonna honestly throw in some sort of anti-inflammatory. So I'm gonna throw in a turmeric supplement of some kind. You
Okay.
want to fight something, fight inflammation because you're in your 30s, and assuming you have a healthy background, a healthy foundation, your blood levels are in a good line, your testosterone's in a good spot. Don't overcomplicate it, man.
Okay. All right. I will echo. This question asks about 30. I think if this question said recommend 3 supplements for men over 40, I would have a different answer.
Oh,
I
for
don't
sure.
think at the turn of that particular, 10-year mark, I don't think you need to switch up your supplements. So my recommendations are just going to be basically if you ask me what 3 supplements should a man take,
Yeah.
or a woman for that matter, because these aren't gender specific here. But same with you, fish oil, hands down. Number 2, creatine for both. But I'm going to assume that this man in this
Man
question,
and woman.
man or woman, thank you, cares about their fitness and is exercising. That said, creatine for both the nootropic qualities of it, but also the physical performance of it. So fish oil, creatine. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to give a third supplement like you did around inflammation and say for this one, I would actually say for stress management.
Okay.
And I would take rhodiola or L-theanine, as tough and resilient as we all like to think that we are, I think we all could also benefit from some type of a supplement that helps us kind of manage the stress response, the cortisol levels, et cetera, just for well-being. So fish oil, creatine, and some type of mental health supplement, of which I'd say rhodiola, L-theanine, and just throw a third one in there, ashwagandha. And there I would caution dosage matters with ashwagandha. I think you have to get specific to how much you should be taking. But those would be my 3.
Great answers. Huge fan of all of them, especially theanine. That has
Heck yeah.
been an amazing one, especially for somebody who's a caffeine junkie like myself. Theanine is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Agree. Do you get sleepy when you take it?
Depends. There's a few supplements that I have a stress relief one that it's in, as well as just plain old 100 or milligrams or whatever it is of theanine. If I take the stress one, it makes me sleepy because there's like lemon balm and stuff in there as well, and I love that. But yeah, it just feels like I'm in a nice little warm blanket.
Yeah, I take all 3 of those I just mentioned: rhodiola, theanine, and ashwagandha.
You've
And
been big on those 3 for a while now.
I am. I take rhodiola and ashwagandha in the day with my multivitamin, my fish oil and stuff. And then at night, I only take 2 things, but I take theanine and magnesium together. Actually, I'm lying. Zinc
Zinc.
isn't.
I was going to say, throw your zinc in there with the
Yeah,
ZMA.
it's not technically a like stress management type supplement, obviously, but as you
Yeah,
just
but that
mentioned,
helps with
ZMA.
sleep.
But if I take theanine, in the middle of the day and like jump on a conference call, like, dude, I'm toast. You're not
At
getting much
least you
happening.
relaxed.
Exactly. Sort of staying in the mental health kind of segue here from where we landed. Next one, Johnny in Massachusetts. Great question here. When people talk about prioritizing mental health, what does that look like for you tactically?
Mm,
Great question.
very great question. There's, I think, again, many different ways to answer that. But like for me personally, from a tactical perspective, it's prioritizing the things that I know matter in terms of what make me operate the best. So one is
Mhm.
sleep. Sleep is insanely important for that. And along with sleep is movement. So when I get to the gym and when I'm done working out, obviously the endorphins are great, but they last a long time. And that helps me get out a lot of the stress, a lot of the anger, two of which things God's blessed me with. Thank you. But like that is amazing for me to get that out. And yeah, in terms of mental health, that's one of my favorite avenues. But outside of, just picking things up and putting them down, like there's more to taking care of your mental health. And that is understanding, why you react to things the way that you do and why you feel the way that you do. So rather than just pushing things off when a situation happens and you do something and it's whatever, I'm just in a bad mood. You got to ask yourself the question, why, I feel like. And there's many different ways to help us do that. One of those is therapy.
Mm,
Um, Instead of waiting for shit to explode and you to hit rock bottom in order to start taking care of your mental health, get the fuck ahead of it so you don't have to make the same mistakes and learn the hard way, like myself and many others out there. And it doesn't have to be this grandiose endeavor. Like, how you're doing mentally when you wake up in the morning, like, how you're feeling. And there's ways to uncover obviously the why behind all of those feelings, but you have to be willing to do it. um there's no way around it. Some of the mental health stuff, doing the work is going to be some of the hardest stuff that you've had to do, but it's going to be the most rewarding and most important thing that, in my opinion, you can do. You want to live a life being fully free from yourself and the chains that your brain puts on yourself. Let's talk mental health and let's start journaling. Let's start setting small goals for yourself every morning for the day. Let's start being thankful and counting our blessings of all the things that we have. Like just getting outside, going for a walk without your phone, like being
yeah.
still and being present. That is my answer right there. Tactically, how can you take care of your mental health? Be still, be present, and ask yourself the question why to everything that you do and feel. That's my
Love it,
answer.
man. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'll start with I agree, therapy, because he's asking tactically, what do you
Yeah.
do? How can you be proactive? Therapy. If anything, to learn about yourself more.
Yeah.
Because now, having been consistently in therapy for almost 3 months, the amount that I'm learning that is
Oh,
helping
yeah.
me just identify when I'm experiencing something emotionally versus it being a real experience. I can see the difference, and it kind of helps me react to the world. Kind of a byproduct of therapy, if you don't want to have a therapist, but when you go to therapy, you're being vulnerable. You're
Oh,
being
yeah.
honest. You're being open. You're not trying to hold it all in and question, should I feel stressed or am I really stressed? And how do I react to this? Did I respond the right way? If you don't want to get a therapist, open up to a friend or your partner or your spouse if they can tolerate listening to you talk for a long time. That's why we pay therapists. But just open up. And it's amazing how healing it is just to let it out and just talk
Yeah.
about it. And it always just feels good. You might feel a little uneasy at first if you share something, you're like, ooh, should I have said that? But eventually just sharing itself tactically really helps, I think, to kind of like unleash some of that stress and that pressure. I think setting boundaries comes to mind. You can be tactical with that, and those
Very
boundaries
good.
can be with technology, as you mentioned, but it could also be boundaries with work. You
Yeah.
know,
Very
maybe
important.
letting go of some inferiority complex that has you like sending that extra email or doing that extra thing and always fearful of how you're doing at work. Just let go of that shit and set boundaries with work. Set boundaries with people who are toxic in your life or that don't make you feel good. I think boundaries is something. And then on the kind of like biological part of it, we mentioned supplements, so I won't go there too much. Prioritize sleep. I mean, you can't open up an internet browser without hearing someone preaching about sleep. It's true. And then lastly, I would say moderate your alcohol if that's something that you can and should do,
Yeah.
but maybe more largely moderate any substance you're putting in. Too
There
much
you go.
too
Yeah.
much caffeine. is going to have you be stressed and wired. Too much alcohol is going to have you stressed when you wake up in the morning, right? So just be mindful of what you're ingesting in your body, not just with your eyes, but with your mouth and lips as well. So there's some tactical steps there.
Amen.
All right. Last question for this episode has to do with productivity. We hit on it earlier with Mr. Mark Wahlberg waking up at 4 a.m. But the question here is, what tools, apps, or programs are you currently using to help with your productivity?
That's a very good question. I have dabbled in a lot of these productivity tools to try and help organize my brain, as well as my tasks and to dos. So I'm fortunate enough to have the brain of a ADHD person. So yay. So very important to try and make sense of this jumbled mess that I have going on up here at all times. So I am a huge proponent in the workplace apps like the Trellos, the Rikes, the Monday.coms. Those have been such a blessing for me, especially doing what I do in work, like being on client calls and like just being able to jot down what's happening in my brain so I don't lose it. That's my biggest thing. I will have the greatest and best idea and then it'll be fucking gone. So being able to, have this stuff be wrangled, being able to organize it and prioritize it with my to-dos and just, I know you're a big proponent of this too, Jesse, but the time blocks that you mentioned,
Yes, sir.
my calendar, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to look fully booked up. And that is because of two things. One, my call schedule is insane and sucks. And two, I need to be very protective of the free time that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So blocking off time slots in order for me to be able to get to certain things throughout the day when I'm in calls for 7 hours, that has been a huge godsend. And on a personal like lifestyle side, I will say, tracking macros can be a very helpful thing. And for me, for people that need to obviously see where they're at, what they're doing, and where they got to make adjustments. So taking advantage of, and there's a lot of free stuff out there too, man. A lot of
Yes,
free
sir.
trackers, templates, like AI, Charlie GPT, you name it, man. You got plenty of things at your disposal to test with. And like I have probably tried at least 10 of them, like from the Evernotes to I don't even know what other ones there are, but I have them all downloaded. So those have been super helpful and like just anything to help me make sense of what's going on in here and how to put it on paper and make it tactical and prioritized is more than I could ask for.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think key is once you figure out what works for you, you have to be consistent with it because
Yes.
the last thing you want is to set out this whole productivity type organization and then not stick to it because then you get stressed that you're not. So you have to land on something. And that said, I've tried a lot of different things and I'm just going to speak to what has worked for me. I think first and foremost, you mentioned a calendar. If you're married or have a family, I think having a shared calendar is absolutely pivotal. One where like if I put something in, my wife gets a notification, she sees it, blocking things. You mentioned, and we use Apple for that, by the way. You mentioned time blocking. We've talked about in previous episode. You just nailed it. But blocking out not just things that are like appointments with other people or work, but things that you are prioritizing in your life. So
Yes.
Monday through Saturday, I've got a block in my calendar. Essentially, it says 5 o'clock to 6:30 is fitness, and I put it in there. I make it personal so my wife doesn't see it, so I don't want to clog up her calendar.
Yeah.
But blocking like things that you're doing for yourself as
Yeah.
well is huge. The reason I like using Apple is because it kind of jives well with their reminders app. Most of us have an iPhone. If you pick it up, there's something that says reminders. You can also share and collaborate with family members in there and actually link them to calendars. Love that. So that's what I do for my family. On a personal side for organization, I like to separate what I use for my personal organization from my work organization because those are boundaries, and we talked about that. So what I do is I use Trello, which you mentioned. I love like stacked ranked columns with cards that you can visibly move to top priority and set reminders. So I use Trello. I have for a decade. I love it. I'm not going anywhere.
Sponsor us, Trello.
Yeah, there you go, Trello. Let's go. On the work side, I use Teams. I love Teams, but Teams has a planner add-on into it, which actually feels exactly like Trello to me, but I keep all my work stuff contained there so as not to bleed into my personal life. And then lastly, productivity around fitness. Whoop. I love Whoop. You can set goals within Whoop for like, this is how many hours of zone 2 heart rate I want to get this week. This is zone 5. This is how many drinks of alcohol I want to have, whatever you want it to be. And I love that once you set those goals, it kind of, you get a report every single week to keep you on track, and you can manually track drinks and things like that. So between Apple Calendar, Trello, Teams, and Whoop. Oh, one more thing. We bought this really big, cute, like whiteboard type family calendar for our laundry room. And I'll normally every month, like take everything that's on our regular calendar and draw it up there because our kids love it. And they like to look at it and say, what are we doing today? So less about productivity and more about just kind of spreading the joy. But those are my little hacks, if you will.
So, I need to get on the Whoop train, man. I can't, I had Apple Watch. I can't wear it anymore because it won't track normally because of all the ink I have on my arms. So I have to resort to Whoop strap, I think.
Well, if I refer a friend, I get a free month. So let's talk.
Oh, all right.
That's it, man. That's all the questions we had, dude. Anything put you on the spot? Any like random questions you want to throw out there to tackle through? Or are we good until next month?
Oh, I just want to thank everybody, honestly, for sending the questions that they did send in. We have a lot of good ones, and I feel like this is the third time we're doing this, and the questions are starting to get more and more like. I love the long-winded ones because that means people are thinking and like they want to see what we have to say, and like the fact that anybody wants to listen to what comes out of this fat mouth. Very thankful for that.
I agree with you, man. Shout out to the listeners and the viewers for sending some awesome questions, and we certainly hope that our spontaneous, sometimes meandering answers are just helping you live the best life you can. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you all. Till next time.
See you next time. All right, everybody, that's the show, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast and spending some time with us today. We've got a favor to ask. If you enjoyed the show, would you please consider subscribing to the show and even leaving a rating and review? That simple act drastically helps us reach more people in our mission to help them live better, longer, healthier lives. You can also follow us if you'd like on Instagram and YouTube for regular tips and motivation around mental health, addiction, and so much more. Know that your support fuels our brand and is greatly appreciated. So until next time, stay strong and live deep.